The cover glass is important because it is the interface which is facing the world. And so for a simple display, something which is just showing information, it's important to have some way that users don't damage it. If you're in a retail setting where people are walking around banging into it on a frequent basis, it's going to be much more important. Further, if you're making a touch display, this is something where you want your people to walk up to and interface with this thing. A touch display is the type of display where you encourage people to come up and put their hands on it frequently. You don't want that display to get scratched. To integrate some sort of a solution into the display to make it so that it won't scratch easily, to make it so that it won't damage easily, that's where you need a product like Corning Gorilla Glass that can provide that level of protection. One of the trends we see in the display industry right now are people working to find out how can they take the advantages and capabilities that have been built into small devices like smartphones and tablets, and how can they take those things and integrate them into televisions and monitors that are inside conference rooms, schools, that type of thing. And so the large cover glass business is about trying to help that industry move forward and apply Corning Gorilla Glass to those displays. If you want to try using the systems and solutions that are out there today, you can go buy basically safety glass and put that on the front of the display. It's very thick, it's very heavy, and it distorts the image so that what you look at on the monitor on the screen doesn't look the same as what you want it to. And when you try to touch it, you're touching it through a very thick piece of safety glass. By moving towards Gorilla Glass, what these customers are able to do is to move to a much more precise interface and a higher optical clarity and a much lighter device that's easier to install inside the classroom or the conference room. By moving towards Gorilla Glass, what our customers are able to do is to get a much thinner protective glass that still allows for the glass to be cleaned, allows for a much higher optical clarity for the display, and makes it such that when you're trying to touch the display, you're touching almost directly onto the LCD screen because of the thin Gorilla Glass, rather than touching through some sort of thick safety glass that might be mounted over the display. That thick safety glass mounted over the display creates a problem known as optical parallax. Optical parallax is the distortion that occurs when you're looking through a thick piece of glass from an angle. We see this when, for example, you stick something into water. For example, if you put a stick into water at an angle, it looks like the stick is bent right at the surface of the water. The same thing happens with thick safety glass that's over the front of a display. Another area where we're seeing customers interested in using Gorilla Glass is in the area of public displays or retail signage. And so more and more there's a value out there for customers, end customers, retailers, who are trying to advertise directly to consumers. How do you get the right advertising on the right day to the right set of consumers? If you do it with static paper advertising, it's hard to change that out on a frequent basis. If you do it with an LCD display, then it's possible to change it at a moment's notice. What I see is touch interfaces all around us, displays all around us, walls that are made into displays, other surfaces made into displays, where on a regular basis we're getting information and interacting with people through surfaces which today are not necessarily touch interface or even display type interface surfaces. I see that coming. I see our Gorilla Glass in a large format being a major part of it.